Salvation Army needs bell ringers. You can call 809-1069. You can go by their store on 509 South Brundage Street. And we've got a local guy by the name of Ricky Albright III. He traveled to Atlanta, Georgia to compete in the Johnsonville's Titanium Tungsman Contest. They selected two people out of 100 plus entries across the country, and he has a sausage recipe, and he won first place. He was paired with, he selected TV chef Kobe Cash Chandler, who's the 7-time world champion. He competed against a guy by the name of, let's see. I got my tongue twisted. But Mr. Albright picked Melissa Cookston of Hernando, Mississippi. She's the 7-time world champion, and they won the contest, or he won it. So congratulations to our local Ricky Albright III in his renowned cooking. And he says he's the primary cook in his family. So,
well, I am not the primary cook in my family.
So your wife is?
I'm a guy that can grill, and that's about it.
Well,
my wife has taught me something I didn't know before I got married. I guess I'll be married 8 years in February. But warming up something in a toaster oven is a lot better than the microwave, and she is correct about that.
Yeah. Hey, we've had two grand openings here in Troy, Alabama. The first last week, Troy Pediatric Clinic had a groundbreaking ceremony between Publix and Cahaba Bank. So congratulations to the Troy Pediatric Clinic. It's coming hopefully by next summer. And yesterday, Baumhauer's Victory Grill broke ground. It's located right across the street from Publix, and it was inspired by Wes Baumhauer, whose dad is, what's his dad's name? Bob Baumhauer.
Mm-hmm. Played at Alabama, played for the Miami Dolphins.
Right, so his son Wes attended Troy University and played a little bit of football, but he encouraged his dad, hey, let's look at Troy, Alabama. And his dad, Bob, was a native of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. He moved to Tuscaloosa his senior year of football. He went on to play for Bear Bryant, was all SEC, played in the National Football League in the 70s and 80s, all pro. 79, 1981, 1982, 1983, and 1984 as a member of the Miami Dolphins. So he hopes to bring his Baumhauer's Victory Grill to Troy, opening next July or August of 2023.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Baumhauer's all over the state. Used to live in Tuscaloosa when they opened the Victory Grill there. I mean, if you want to see Alabama memorabilia or Auburn memorabilia, and I'm sure Troy will have boatloads of memorabilia to put into that restaurant. It'll be like kind of like a mini museum for Troy University in that restaurant. And then I'll say this for us, the food is quality, really good.
I've eaten at the one on the bypass in Montgomery. I think that's the only one that I've dined at. Big news at Charles Henderson. Sophomore defensive end Zion Grady has committed to play in the 2025 All-American Bowl.
Wow. 2025, that's a long ways away.
That will be in the Aladome Stadium in San Antonio, Texas. Former players who've played there, Andrew Luck, C.J. Mosley, DeMarco Murray, Chase Young, Odell Beckham Jr., Tim Tebow, Eric Berry, and many, many more. He's 6'5", 230 pounds. He's considered a 5-star by 247 Sports. He's considered a 4-star recruit by Rivals and On 3 Recruiting Services. And Zion has received offers from Troy, Alabama, Auburn, Florida State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Tennessee, Penn State, Texas A&M, Washington State, Texas A&M, um, Alabama A&M, and Alabama State. So
I'll go ahead and give a spoiler alert. He's not going to go to Troy. I'll say this, Coach Hambright, if you're listening, 6'5", 220 pounds is better than anybody you've ever had at tight end. So hopefully he'll be playing both ways next year, because if Boyd can play both ways, I imagine Grady can play both ways. You don't find too many 6'5", 220-pound kids that can run like him.
well, I mean, they are fast as lightning, and it's just unbelievable what the future holds for Charles Simpson High School.
You know, it's kind of funny. I watched all those great Charles Simpson teams that won the state championship when Austin Ingram was the quarterback and John Johnson was, the star player, and of course they had Richard McBride on defense, and then all of a sudden, Mr. McBride's senior year, they play him at tailback, and nobody can bring him down.
Mm-mm.
So it's kind of funny how you have all these amazing athletes on one side of the ball and don't give them a chance offensively. So one of those where I tell you what, he's going to have to move some guys around next year, because I think that offensively next year, Charles Simpson maybe possibly could not be stopped if you look at some of the guys they got coming back.
Well, they'll develop their linemen. Their line play, will improve over 1 years of experience and size and strength, weight room. But when you got athletes, milk that cow dry. And if they're not tired at the end of the game, anyway. So, Troy.
I'll be honest. You look at the Pike County blueprint. I mean, Wayne Grant, one of the great high school coaches of all time, and how many guys do you think they played both ways? I'd say almost 80%, maybe 90%.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed about Coach Grant, his stud players, who were the running backs, the quarterbacks, the receivers, the slot backs, they could interchange. The slot back could come to A back or go to B back. I mean, you didn't know who was going to line up where, and they were very versatile. Troy University has graduation this Friday, December the 16th at 10 a.m. Army Major General Michael C. McCurry, he's the commander of Fort Rooker, will provide the keynote address at Troy University's fall commencement. More than 800 students representing 25 states and 11 countries outside the United States will participate in the exercises that are slated for 10 a.m. in the Trojan Arena. Each graduate gets 4 tickets. So congratulations to our Troy University graduates, and it's an honor for Army Major General Michael C. McMurray. I read his biographical sketch, and it's tremendous.
I heard Chancellor Hawkins, which is always great. I've seen this before at bowl games. They'll have a ceremony for the athletes down in Orlando for the football players and the marching band. They'll do like a little mini graduation for them down there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Before I didn't get a chance to really follow up with all this Mike Leach stuff. I don't know if you've already talked about it, but
I have not.
Tragic news about Mike Leach having a massive heart attack in his home, and basically took 15 minutes for the ambulance to get there, and they basically brought him back to life, it sounds like, and then he's in Jackson, Mississippi, fighting for his life. Thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. Really tragic news. I mean, I don't know if you ever have satellite radio, but I used to listen to his show on Sirius XM radio, and he was phenomenal radio. And then, of course, he was a great coach at Texas Tech and Washington State, and now had a really good season at Mississippi State. And I've been seeing all these meteorologists post about it throughout the state on Facebook, and I forget that, Mississippi State's known for their meteorology school. And my sister, Rebecca Amos, actually got a meteorology degree from Mississippi State, and my wife, a Mississippi State graduate. So we followed Mississippi State's football program and sports a pretty good bit. And horrible news. Only 61 years old. We hope and pray that he'll recover.
Right. You know, I went to Starkville a couple of years ago with Abby. She had a photography workshop that she wanted to attend, and I went with her. And I called. I got up with Paige Tompkins, who is a professor at the University of Georgia. She has her doctorate degree. And I knew her dad, Jim, and her mother, Miss Phyllis, were at Starkville. So I called, emailed her. She sent me their phone number. I called Miss Phyllis, and she was able to come to the motel and visit us in the lobby. And of course, that was during COVID. And but you know, Starkville, we rode around and ate at a couple of restaurants that Friday and Saturday night. But Starkville is an unbelievably neat town, and their campus is just beautiful.
Yeah, it's grown a lot. My wife told me we used to go every year to the game, and I mean it's not much bigger than Troy, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 30,000 people, 25,000 people tops.
Mm-hmm.
But of course it's an agricultural school, and they actually have a place on campus where I guess they have a dairy program where you can get fresh milk and cheeses too.
Wow.
Did y'all go there?
No, we didn't get a chance to do that. She spent most.
They do milk, cheeses, and ice creams on campus. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, she spent most of her time in the workshop, and I rode around and looked at some places, but there were a couple of places that we were able to eat. I couldn't remember the name of the restaurants.
It's real close to Columbus, Mississippi, which is a really beautiful old town too.
Yeah.
My sister actually worked at a radio station over there as well.
How far is Starkville from Tuscaloosa?
70 miles. My wife said, this is I don't know if a good story to tell or not, but she said in Starkville they would close the bars down at midnight. And she said if they wanted to go back out and have some more fun, they'd drive to Tuscaloosa. they didn't close in Tuscaloosa. So.
Yep.
But yeah, Mississippi State is, I think, the closest school to another SEC school. Tuscaloosa and Mississippi State, I think, are the closest.
Mm-hmm. Well, I read breaking news. Grayson McCall, the quarterback, the player of the year for the Sun Belt, will be entering the transfer portal. And a little bit of history about him. At age 12, he was on a traveling Little League All-Star baseball team that actually played in a tournament in Cooperstown. And he decided to quit baseball before high school and concentrate on his football career. He went to Porter Ridge High School in Indian Hill, North Carolina. In his high school career, Grayson McCall passed for 3,800 yards, 34 touchdowns, and rushed for 3,000 yards and 41 touchdowns. He was a two-star recruit out of high school. He committed to Coastal Carolina over Army, Chattanooga, Eastern Kentucky, and Gardner-Webb. He started in 2019. Was he the quarterback, first-team quarterback for 3 years in a row?
Yeah, he won Sun Belt Conference Offensive Player of the Year 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm. And last year, he was the MVP of what bowl?
What bowl did they play in last year?
The Cure Bowl.
Oh, they played the Cure Bowl?
He was the MVP of the Cure Bowl.
You know, McCall, I don't know what his relationship is. Jamie Chadwell, of course, left, and their head coach and went to Liberty. But I want to think if McCall did want to go to the NFL draft, he'll try to go play at a Power 5 school, I would think.
Well, he's
maybe somewhere in the ACC. I don't think he's good enough to play at a blue blood like SEC team, but I think he's definitely good enough to play in the Power 5. He's a dual threat quarterback, to say the least.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's as polished a passer as he probably needs to be, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's 6'3", 200 plus.
He can run, I know that.
No set order. I've got here that the Texas basketball coach
He's
suspended
into his career.
Chris Beard. He was arrested for a felony assault charge. The Texas was the number 2 team in the country, according to the Austin, Texas Police Department. Around 12:15 a.m., they received a call, and they responded, and he ended up, there was allegedly strangulation by Christopher Michael Beard, and so he's been suspended.
Really,
we'll just say,
the facts are
allegedly.
We don't know 100% what happened, but
that's allegedly.
Definitely one of those situations as a guy that's at one of the top programs in the country as a basketball coach. How in the world does this happen right in the middle of the season? How in the world does this happen anytime? But so crazy of a story.
Yeah. And we're
out there right now.
We're on the subject of basketball. The new poll is out, and Alabama has jumped to number 4. They've defeated 2 number 1 teams in the last couple of weeks. They defeated number 1 Houston Saturday, 71-65, and they defeated then number 1 ranked North Carolina on November the 27th. Here are the top in the men. Here are the top teams. Purdue's 1, Virginia's 2, Connecticut is 3, Alabama 4, Houston is 5, Tennessee is 6, Texas is 7, Kansas is 8, Arizona 9, Arkansas is 10. Also SEC, Kentucky is 13, Mississippi State is 17, Auburn is 19, and in the women's poll, you got South Carolina 1, Stanford, Ohio State, Indiana, Notre Dame. LSU comes in at number 11, and Arkansas comes in at 21. And I can remember in women's basketball, the SEC would have 6 or 8 teams in the top 25, but we only have about 4 now, 3 actually in the top 25. Arkansas, LSU, and
I was reading Todd McShay, of course, he's a draft guru and a Mel Kiper, and his mock draft for our top pick in the first round. It's not good for Alabama fans. Bryce Young is his number 1 pick for us to go number 1 in the NFL draft to the Houston Texans. Definitely need a quarterback, and definitely need a player like Bryce Young. Number 2 is Jalen Carter out of Georgia. Number 3 is Will Anderson out of Alabama. Number 4 is P.J. Stroud to the Detroit Lions. And then number 5, you don't see this much for running backs anymore, Bijan Robinson out of Texas to the Philadelphia Eagles. Other SEC guys, I got Will Levis, who I do not think is a first-round pick to save my life at Kentucky at number 6. Coach Summerall might could tell me better. He coached at Kentucky for a long time and knows how good Levis is. Other SEC guys, Anthony Richardson, another surprising guy, quarterback. They have number 11 going to Carolina Panthers. Very inconsistent quarterback at Florida. But there's a reason he went early to the draft. Other guys of interest, Roderick Jones, Georgia offensive tackle at 15. You got Cyrus Torrance, guard out of Florida at 17. Brian Branch, Alabama safety, who had a really phenomenal year. Number 18 to the Seattle Seahawks. That's 3 Alabama guys in the top 18. After that, scrolling down, another Georgia guy, Kaylee Ringo at number 21 to the Commanders. You got Cam Smith, quarterback out of South Carolina, the Chargers. Another name that's popped up for us, Jameer Gibbs, Alabama's running back, who a lot of people can compare to Alvin Kamara, is now 24 from McShay's list in the first round going to the Broncos. Other guys in the SEC, Texas A&M's safety Antonio Johnson at 28. And then looks like that rounds out all the guys in the SEC. But I don't know how Will Anderson, Bryce Young, anybody would ever think they would play in a bowl game with their top 3 picks, it looks like.
Does Auburn or Troy University have anybody, in the first few rounds you think that'll be drafted?
I have not seen anything like that. I will say last night, Marcus Jones continues to amaze. The former Troy player out of Enterprise, played 2 years and then transferred to Houston. He had his first NFL interception last night against Arizona Cardinals. So he's having a really good rookie year.
And that's for the Patriots. And unfortunately, Kyler Murray, on the 3rd play of the game, non-contact, They fear that
yeah.
they fear that he's torn his ACL, and you could tell it how he buckled, and it just reminded me of Jameis Winston and the other great was it Minchie? Who did Alabama lose last year? The two receivers.
Alabama lost Jameson Williams and John Mechie.
Right, and back-to-back games, and it's just when you lose somebody like that.
Mechie is coming off an injury, and then he gets leukemia. So definitely keep your prayers for him as well. Hopefully he can get back to play football one day, but hopefully he can just get back to living a normal life.
Well, the AP All-American team is out. I was going to mention this. Will Anderson is first team. Your first-team quarterback, of course, is your Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams. Second-team quarterback was TCU's Max Dugan, and third-team quarterback was Tennessee's Hendon Hooker. Will Hooker be back next year for Tennessee?
No. Hendon Hooker's like 25 years old.
Okay. Yeah, but he tore his.
He's a 6-year guy.
Didn't he hurt his knee late in the season?
Yeah, he tore his ACL.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, also for Alabama, I was going to mention third team. You had Jamar Gibbs, all-purpose player. You had tackle was from LSU. You had Makai Wingo. Cornerback, you had Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama, and safety, you had Jordan Battle, fourth-year Alabama. And Brian Branch was second team as a defensive back for Alabama. And
yeah, you want to hear something funny? So Stetson Bennett, 25 years old, the Georgia quarterback. Hendon Hooker, the Tennessee quarterback, 25 years old. Lamar Jackson's been starting in the NFL for 4 years. He's 25 years old. So that just tells you how long some of these guys have been in college, because they all got the COVID year, and then a lot of guys get redshirted, and then they'd normally be a 5-year guy, but now they're a 6-year guy. And then if some of them get injured, they could even be a 7-year guy.
It's this transfer portal, COVID, you get an extra year. You just can't keep up with who's what classification. I can't. And I don't know if we'll ever get.
Reading an article yesterday. I didn't realize Bo Nix can come back to Oregon.
He's a projected Heisman winner. He's a projected Heisman winner.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to
take a break.
We will. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Sandbuck Insurance. We want to thank Trollbank and Trust Company, Birds Drugs, Cinco Drugs, Sisters Restaurant. Hadn't eaten there in a long time. I may get something to go today and take it to school. We want to thank Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Troy and Jason Gregory and his staff for being a sponsor, and the UPS store and the Withington Group. And we'll be back after these messages and in just a few minutes. We'll be right back.
Our wide selection of pre-owned vehicles looks so good, you'll think they're new.
So take the short drive to Bill Jackson Ford in Troy, where you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
Bill Jackson Ford, Troy, Alabama.
At cost plus 10%, we offer your favorite brands at the best price. At Piggly Wiggly, we keep it simple. We price our products at cost, then add 10% at checkout. We carry all your favorite name brand foods, and we accept manufacturer coupons. Find us on Facebook and see our weekly specials.
Wallace Sandals Truck Line been in business since 1959, and we'll still growing. We've been in business since 1959, and we'll still growing. Wallace Sandals Truck Line. From 1959 to 2022, we'll still growing. How many years is that, Mr. Glenn? 63. Ricky, why this T680?
Got a nice digital dashboard, easy to read.
Man, Wallace Sandals Truck Line. We got competitive pay. We got Blue Cross Blue Shield. We can get you home. Wallace Sandals. Come drive for the best today. Wallace Sandals Truck Line.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
In the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle? We've got what you're looking for.
So come see us at Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Troy, and you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC.
Welcome back to Today in LA. Thank you for joining us. I'm Forrest Lee, and on the phone and on Zoom, we have Michael Amos Jr. calling in from Grayton Beach, Florida. How's the weather down there this morning, Michael?
Well, it's like I've been telling my wife, it doesn't feel like Christmas time at all. It's been 75 for about 10 days down here. I know some people would be like, oh, I love 75, but it's been on and off rain most of the time too. But finally get that cold snap this weekend, which I'm excited about. My wife got me this fancy fire pit, and the girls love to do marshmallows and s'mores, and hopefully we can do that on Friday night after Troy wins a big bowl game at 2 o'clock on Friday morning. I already told my wife, I was like, I'm going to have to check one of them out from school so I can get back and watch the game at 2 o'clock.
Well, in the Troy Messenger, not the Troy Messenger, in the Dothan Eagle today, there's an article featuring Dothan's standout player. He's from Northview, A.J. Pierce, who plays defense for Troy University. But in the article, it reads that ESPN will cover it, but it says the radio, 960 AM, 94.7, and FM 100.1. But as I was coming to work this morning, WTBF radio said that they will not be covering the game live. Evidently, ESPN is not going to.
Really? Has the bull rights to radio too?
I guess so, but Mike McCall and his wife were.
You're telling me Barry McKnight will call the game, but it will not be live?
Well, it will not be.
That is strange. Well, maybe that's right.
That's what but in the paper it says it will, but WTBF said it would not be on the radio.
Yeah, I wonder how many years Barry McKnight, Jerry Miller have been doing radio for Troy. It's got to be close to 20-something years, I would imagine.
Well, Rehoboth has hired a new football coach, but he started his career there. It says Toby Green is returning back to public high school coaching. He was at, for 2 years, he was at Northside Methodist. His overall record is 112 and 111. He will return to Rehoboth. Last year they finished 3-7. No, his Northside teams finished 3-7 and 4-6. But he will be returning to Rehoboth. Toby Green.
Yeah. I hated to see Pate get let go. Pate Harrison, friend of the show, and Troy University graduate. I've known him for years. I felt like Rehoboth was playing really good football at the end of the year. Playing everybody tough.
Yeah, Pike Liberal Arts has not.
Felt like they would give more time to maybe build the program.
Mm-hmm. Well, Pike Liberal Arts, we don't have a football coach yet. Maybe we could name one before January, but right now there's a vacancy there, and I don't know who all has applied.
I wouldn't say they don't have a football coach. Forrest Lee used to be a football coach, and Gene Allen used to be a football coach. Is Dwight Ward still up there?
No, he's not. But
I'm just saying, there's some football coaches up there.
There's a few. Robin Snyder's there, so.
Robin Snyder's there too.
Yeah, Robin's there, but
when is old Bart going to get back to coach? And he ought to coach at a private school, double dip.
Never know. Yeah, but
what is Bart, like 50?
Bart is I'm 3-3. Robin's 53. Bart's 55. They were both born on December the 1st of 2 years apart. So Bart's 55 and Robin's 53, if I'm correct. And speaking of age,
whoever gets the Pike Liberal Arts job, I hope they get to make the schedule. Last year was the toughest schedule in the history of football.
I think that it's been altered a little bit, but to what degree I do not know. But speaking of age, I coach archery in the afternoon at Pike Liberal Arts, and we practice a couple times a week. And so they meet in my room to begin with, and one of the kids said, "Coach, how old are you?" I said, "Okay, let's go around the room." And people were guessing my age, and this young fella, Ryan Copeland, he said, "Coach, I think you're 70.
Oh, wow.
I looked at him. I said, Ryan, you are officially off my Christmas card list. 70? Went around the room, and this little girl said, Coach, I think you're about 29. I said, I like you. But I've always, somebody told me.
I tell my girls all the time, I was like, one of these days you'll realize how old your mom and dad are.
Somebody said if you wanted to compliment on how good you look, add 10 years to your age. So I'm 73 years old. So anyway, I thought that was funny.
I tell my girls all the time that they don't understand because they're 5 and 6, but I make jokes when we're around friends and people all the time. I'm going to be 60 when they're in college, starting college. But, we had Bill Rice on the show for all those years. I think Bill's going to be like 70 when they start college.
Yeah. Are you a big Jim and Nick's fan? Barbecue?
I will say this. One of my best friends in the world, Rich Callahan, and I were big Jim and Nick's fans. When I first moved to Birmingham, Jim and Nick's was like the place to go for barbecue. And I've kind of slowly over the years, they got Saul's Barbecue, and then they got Miss Myra's, which is a legendary barbecue place, and then the Ritual Dreamland, Tuscaloosa. And, there's so many great barbecue places, but like salad-wise and sides and stuff, like Jim and Nick's is not just barbecue to me. It's a little bit of everything. It's a good restaurant, but it's not my favorite.
Okay. Well, they have 16 stores in Alabama. They've got restaurants in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. But they're opening up their first store south of Montgomery. It will be in Foley, the city of Foley. Will join Jim and Nick's, and they have...
It's Kanakis family, which is a Greek family, and they've also gotten in with Rodney Scott, barbecue, the legendary barbecue out of South Carolina, and then they have Little Donkeys, other restaurants they have. They've got quite a bit of restaurants. When I was in Charleston with my wife, walk around downtown Charleston, they got restaurants in Charleston now.
Mm-hmm. It says Carolina, they got pulled pork, Carolina-style pork, brisket chicken, smoked turkey breast, ribs, burgers, salads, potatoes, popular cheese biscuits. So
cheese biscuits are incredible. I will say this about Jim and Nick's. This might not mean much to most people, but I'm a big salad dressing guy, especially homemade salad dressing, and I'm a huge Thousand Island guy. Their Thousand Island dressing ranks up there. It's one of the best I've ever had.
Michael, when Jody and I were going to Birmingham, I think we got off 31 going up there. There's a restaurant, an Italian restaurant on the right. I think it's Highway 31, but they have a dressing that has a garlic-based flavor to it. It's real garlic in there, and I love that stuff. I wish I could get a bottle of that today. But in the news of...
There's a lot of great Italian restaurants in Birmingham. A lot of great Greek restaurants, a lot of great Italian restaurants. That's one thing my wife and I do talk about all the time. It's like when we go to Birmingham, we have a list of all our favorite restaurants we go to.
Yeah. Well, Alabama has landed a 5-star recruit yesterday. His name is Keon Keeley out of Tampa, Florida. He flipped from Notre Dame. He is 6'6", 242 pounds. So we're just going to rip Anderson off the jersey and put Keeley. But
I don't know if you looked at this Alabama potential signing class, but it could be the greatest of Saban's history, which is hard to believe. They're going to have possibly, I think, 10 5-stars in this class.
I don't know how many, but we play Texas to open up the second game of the year. I don't know who we open up with, but we open up with somebody, and then we play Texas in Tuscaloosa the second game. And
Texas is going to be greatly improved. The big question with Texas is, will Arch Manning beat out Quinn Ewers, who I felt like was really good as a freshman this year, and I mean, you can say whatever you want to say, but if he doesn't get hurt against Alabama, I think Texas beats Alabama this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, the assistant coaches at Alabama, Coleman Hutzler and Robert Gillespie, were key recruiters in building a relationship with Keon Keeley. And other news out of Auburn, Tank Bigsby is going to the NFL. Last year,
that makes sense.
He ran for 970 yards, 10 touchdowns. In his 3 seasons at Auburn, he's rushed for over 2,800 yards, which is 7th on Auburn's list of running backs, and they have a huge Hall of Fame group of running backs.
You know what Auburn fans will always remember about Tank Bigsby. It won't be a positive. It'll be the fact he went out of bounds in the last second against Alabama, where Alabama didn't have any timeout, and that basically gave Alabama enough time to come back and win that game, or put it in overtime,
Right.
And then win that game. But Bigsby will always be known for going out of bounds there. That was a huge, huge play.
Yeah. For all our soccer fans, the World Cup is in the Final Four today at 1 o'clock. You have Argentina versus Croatia. That will be in the LaSalle Ionic Stadium in LaSalle, Qatar. You can watch it on Fox, but Argentina versus Croatia today at 1 o'clock. And tomorrow, France versus Morocco. That will also be at 1 o'clock. You can watch it on Fox. And then the finals will be Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. So the World Cup is down to 4.
I'll go ahead and say I will not be watching. But if anybody wants to call in that's a soccer expert and knows all about this, please call in. I need some I need some information to know who's great, who's going to win. I know everybody around the world cares about this stuff.
Well, I like it because, this part of soccer I like because the world champion is fixed to be crowned. And these games are like the Stanley Cup finals. They get after it. And every kick is, everybody's on their seats. And it's the most watched sport in the world. In these stadiums, they'll fill up and they'll chant and holler. And, people are flocking from these countries. They're flocking to Qatar. Pronounce it for me. Qatar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
it's in a country, but it's spelled, doesn't have a U in it. It's Qatar. No,
Yeah.
Qatar.
We mentioned Troy playing in like a state-of-the-art, pretty much brand new soccer stadium in Orlando where their pro team plays. Holds about 25,000, maybe 26,000 seats. But I've seen pictures. It looks awesome.
Yep.
But I'm thinking, realistically, Texas San Antonio maybe will bring 2,000 fans, I would think. Troy maybe will bring 5,000 fans, maybe more. There's a lot of alumni in that Florida area, but just like Dad mentioned, and I was talking to him about it, it's Friday, it's a work day for people. You got to take off work to get there. I'm sure there's been a lot bigger crowd on a Saturday, but hopefully Troy will have a good crowd, and then hopefully the public will come out. I wouldn't be shocked, maybe hopefully have 15,000 people there.
Yeah. Well, Michael, I'm going to try to have part of the bowl picks ready tomorrow, but let's talk about the regular season high school and college picks. It came down to the final week. You and I were tied. Well, your dad won last week. He missed 5. Steve missed 7. I missed 7. And Michael Jr. missed 7. So the tiebreaker.
I don't even know what the tiebreaker was.
Troy versus Coastal Carolina. Your score was 20-17, Troy. That's a total of 37 points with a 3-point differential.
Yeah, I don't think I have enough points.
I picked Troy 24, Coastal 17. That's a total of 41 points with a 7-point differential. But there were a total of 71 points scored with a 19-point differential. So I edged you out on tiebreaker. You caught me, but it starts over with the bowl season. But we never had a chance to mention that.
What do you think the chances were that anybody thought Troy would score 45 on Coastal? And 31-0.
31-0.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've not been the biggest fan of Gunnar Watson this year. I'm sure Gunnar could care less what I think of him.
Did you hear what?
All he does is win. But I'll say this: for him to play his best game in the championship game when it was all on the line, I mean, kudos to him. And I'll officially shut up about Gunnar Watson.
Yeah, in his speech, they brought some big old rolling cart out there, and of course they tore one goalpost down. And later on, I saw pictures of some fraternity had this big old chop saw. They were sawing it in half so everybody could get a piece of it. But Gunnar Watson, one of his closing statements, he said, "Well, it's a great game, TTP, to the porch." And to the porch. Hey, couple things now. Stanford hired Sacramento State's coach Troy Taylor, who
he's a good coach. They were undefeated in the playoffs. I guess they're still in. I don't know if they got beat or not.
No, he lost to Incarnate Word.
Oh, out of Texas.
66 to 63.
Whoa, man! That is an unbelievable 1AA game.
And he had a 3-year stint there. He replaces David Shaw. In Stanford last year in the conference, they were 1-8, just like Colorado, and they finished 3-9 overall. So Stanford has a new coach. His name is Troy Taylor. He comes from Sacramento State, and they lost 66 to 63 to Incarnate Word in the FCS playoffs.
I mean, for Stanford, a big Pac-12 school, unbelievable academics. I mean, and Shaw had great teams there. For them to have to dip down to 1AA to find a head coach is pretty amazing. There was not more interest in that job. I think he actually won the job out against Jason Garrett, the former Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Head coach was a candidate. I remember reading that.
Mm-hmm.
And Dak Prescott was really hoping he would get that job. But interesting hire. Of course, Pac-12 is going to look a lot different now. UCLA and USC are going to the Big Ten. So it's going to be more wide open than ever. And then you got Dion in Colorado. What's going to happen there? It's going to be interesting. But I will say I watched more Pac-12 this year than ever. I actually have the Pac-12 network down here at the beach, and I stay up late on Saturdays watching games. Always have. I guess I get that from Dad. But I'll say the best year the Pac-12's had in years. Mm-hmm. They had a really competitive league and had a lot of really good teams.
Well, I think the key is whenever you got Riley at Oklahoma, and he brought all those players, they were an immediate factor. And now Oregon, they're going to be good. I mean, that Pac-12 has kind of come back, but you're going to lose Southern. Who are we losing? UCLA and
Southern Cal are supposed to join the Big Ten, which makes absolutely no sense. But that's the way football is now.
Well, and the way I look at it, if they were to stay, USC would be a dominant force. Them in Oregon and others.
Oh yeah.
The Navy coach, it says he was fired right after the game. He said that Ken said that he was sitting in his locker room and the athletic director came up to him and fired him after the game.
Wow.
I got another call. Just hold on, please. Oh, I lost somebody. Let's see. Hold on just a minute. Welcome to Today in L.A.
Hey, Forrest, Will Matthews, what are y'all up to this morning?
We just talking football, local things.
I know you had the Cardinals last night when Kyler Murray blew out his ACL for the rest of the year. That was a really tough blow, man.
Oh, wrong answer. I had the Patriots and the under.
God, you're the only person in the country that had the Patriots last night. Everybody I looked at was taking the Cardinals.
I had them.
I tell you what, Colt McCoy was basically. I mean, I felt bad watching that game last night. I've never seen a quarterback get hit that many times. I mean, that offensive line for Arizona is one of the worst I've ever seen in my life. I think they stacked him 9 or 10 times.
And one guy for the Patriots had 6 sacks.
Yeah.
One guy,
Mac Jones, bless his heart. I mean, Josh McDaniels left to take that Raiders job, and that offensive coordinator for the Patriots is the worst I've ever seen in my life. I mean,
terrible.
I mean, it's really hard to watch. How they won 7 games is a miracle with New England, and they had all 3 of their starting running backs out.
Well, this is what I heard. O'Brien's going back to the Patriots after the bowl game.
I tell you what, that would make sense because Matt Patricia was a defense coordinator his whole life with the Patriots, and then he got the Detroit job, was also the head coach. And the next thing you know, Belichick has him an offensive coordinator. Makes no sense. Football is a strange game, to say the least. I don't know how many games I've seen this year where quarterbacks get knocked out early, and it just changes the game. Look at the Southern Cal Utah game. I mean, Caleb Williams gets hurt, then Utah wins by 20 points.
Yeah. Quarterback's everything.
Yeah. I tell you what, Mac Jones is a guy that I hope will maybe get traded from the Patriots, because I feel like him in the right offense with the right coach could be a Pro Bowler, but I don't know if he ever will be with New England.
They ought to trade him to Tampa for Brady. Just do a one-on-one trade.
Let Brady retire in New England.
Brady will play a couple of years in New England, then he quit.
We got a big game in Tuscaloosa tonight, don't we, for us? Alabama, Memphis.
That's right. What time's that tip, Michael?
I'll find out real quick.
What's the line on that game?
I would imagine Alabama's going to be around 7 or 8.
Let's see if I can find it over here.
I got it right here. I think it's an 8 o'clock tip. Alabama coming off a big win over Houston, and then Memphis destroyed Auburn in Atlanta. So this ought to be a really good game.
8 o'clock?
Alabama got blown out by them last year. 6.5 only. Alabama.
Is it 8 o'clock? Memphis at Alabama at 8, ESPN 2?
8 o'clock, ESPN 2, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a great basketball game tonight. Of course, it won't be over till about 10:15, 10:30.
So you got high school basketball today. You got Eufaula at Russell County, Daleville at Carroll of Ozark, Ayrton at Dale County. Eufaula is at Russell County. You got Opp at McKenzie, New Brockton at Zion Chapel, G.W. Long at Wicksburg, Goshen is at Elba. So that's going on tonight in basketball. So support your local basketball teams. And there's a big tournament in Brantley this weekend. You got Luverne and Calhoun, Central, Highland Home, Brantley, Pikeville Arts. Also in that, you got J.F. Shields will be there, Greenville. You got a lot of good basketball going on in Brantley. But I don't see much. Is that Christmas tournament in Dothan the next weekend, Mr. Williams?
It's the week after Christmas.
It's the week after Christmas. And there's how many teams in that tournament?
I think there's 8 this year.
8. And they'll be the big dogs from all over.
16. I think it might be 16.
Okay. We'll have that in the paper next week. Well, what you got going on in Ozark these days?
Not much.
I was telling Michael, as you were calling, the Navy coach, Ken Numa Tululu, he was.
Not the Maloa, I think his name.
Okay. He was in his locker room sitting by himself after the game, after they lost 20-17, and the athletic director, Chet Gladchuk, walked in and fired him right after the game. So 15 years.
Well, they should have won, really. A pretty brutal way to lose. Last second field goal in overtime. Navy,
1 foot line.
Yeah, Navy, there had to be something more. President athletic director must have, there's got to be something more to that story. A guy that's been there for 15 years probably didn't expect to go out that way. There had to be something more to it, I would think.
All right, let me ask you a question, Michael. You know a lot about SEC football. Who is the last SEC coach that didn't get fired from their job?
That didn't get fired from their job?
Yeah, they just retired.
Gary
last
Tinkle,
one to retire.
Gary Tinkle had to retire because of health issues at Missouri.
Yeah. Not many.
Yeah.
Usually they get fired.
Yeah.
What
Well,
do you think will happen with Saban? Do you think he'll get fired or he'll just resign and just say, I'm done?
I think he'll retire, but it's going to be interesting to see what Mississippi State does because Mike Leach, they're going to pull the plug if they haven't already on him.
I've heard reports of that.
We're still praying a miracle can happen, but yeah.
There is no miracle. He's Michael, he was determined brain dead yesterday at 3:30 in the afternoon.
I know. We're just waiting for the actual official release before we say anything on the show about it.
Yeah,
I've heard all that stuff though.
Yeah, it's I got it from a very good, reliable friend of mine, and they called his family in all over the country.
Yeah. Well,
It's tragic.
one thing I want to mention, the Broyles Award, the top assistant football coach in the country, assistant coach, is Garrett Riley, the younger brother of Lincoln Riley. Let's see, he was the offensive coordinator for the Horned Frogs this year, TCU.
Oh, Bill O'Brien should have gotten that easily.
Yeah. But this is the assistant coach of the year. He's 33 years old. He used to be the offensive coordinator at SMU. He also has been an assistant at Appalachian State, Kansas, and East Carolina. So your quarterback's coach and offensive coordinator for TCU, Garrett Riley, younger brother of Lincoln Riley, is the top assistant coach in the country.
You know who needs to go get him?
Excuse me.
Texas A&M. It'd be a short drive, and Jimbo Fisher and them ought to pay him $2 million a year. Yeah, A&M going again.
Well, he's looking to hire. Have you heard who he's looking to hire?
I mean, if he hires Bobby Petrino, I'll be in shock.
That was
how in the world those personalities could work together would be beyond me.
That was in the news. So I read it yesterday.
Yeah. At one time at Louisville, they had Petrino and Patino. That didn't work out. That didn't work out very well for either one of them.
Nope. Well, we got.
It's one of those where Jimbo Fisher, I'm sure, has got to find somebody like that Raleigh guy to come in and spark that offense. Yeah. Defensively, they're not horrible.
Well, if you'll call in tomorrow, we got to kind of close shop. Want to thank you for joining us today on Today in LA. You can see us again at 1:30 on the replay, and you also can find us on not ESPN, but YouTube and Facebook. And go to TC2 TV, and you can find us there. I want to remind everyone to follow your local basketball teams. They have action going on all week, except Wednesday nights. And
we're gonna do our picket show on Thursday, Will. So call in.
Yeah, we'll have that ready for you. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching us, and we'll see you bright and early in the morning on Today in LA.
Our wide selection of pre-owned vehicles looks so good, you'll think they're new.
So take the short drive to Bill Jackson Ford in Troy, where you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
Bill Jackson Ford, Troy, Alabama.
At cost plus 10%, we offer your favorite brands at the best price. At Piggly Wiggly, we keep it simple. We price our products at cost, then add 10% at checkout. We carry all your favorite name brand foods, and we accept manufacturer